G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, back at it again with r/LegalAdvice. Now if you love this video like I love you, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a like on the video, prawn on the Barbie, and enjoy the content. Posted by user Lucky the Lurker, titled, "Someone euthanized my daughter's horse without our permission." This is in the US, it may hit the news, but I'm intentionally being vague as to respect the parties involved if we can resolve the issue out of court. We have a few horses stabled at our local equestrian center. They went through a change in ownership, and we have been vocal about some of the changes. Last week, my daughter's 4 Morgan died suddenly. The horse had a recent checkup with no issues. Morgans are usually a very hardy breed, so its sudden death was suspicious, so our insurance company ordered an autopsy. We had some issues with the equestrian center wanting to dispose of the animal, but I think it was purely the fact they aren't set up for storing dead horses long term. The autopsy came back today, and the horse tested positive for a number of drugs commonly used to euthanize horses. This creates a number of issues. A. Who killed the horse? This is now an animal welfare issue. Was it a mistake somehow, or was it intentional? B. What do I do about other horses? We have a contract, but I think under the circumstances, I'm willing to pay the cost to break it. I asked the insurance company if I can move them to another stable, and they said okay. I don't know if police are involved yet. C. Should I engage an attorney yet, or wait for the insurance company to finalize their investigation? I'm definitely going to sue the stables for allowing this to happen. My daughter is devastated. She got that horse from her grandfather shortly before his death. Should I also be concerned about potentially being investigated by the insurance company? Who the hell kills a horse? Less of me, more of him says, "What a horrible thing to have to go through. I feel so sad for your horse and your daughter especially. Thank God for your insurance company deciding to investigate this suspicious death. I'm not a lawyer, but in addition to CT 8905 suggestions for what you should sue them for, if it comes down to that, you might want to think about also tacking on the cost to move and board them elsewhere, and, if the new stables are more expensive, maybe it's possible to sue them for the difference in price for the length of the contract you are now forced to break. I agree with CT 8905, you absolutely should not pay to break the contract. None of this is your fault, so you shouldn't have to shoulder any financial burden." Balls Deep in Reality says, "I would add to this to say that not moving other horses might be used against you legally. One could argue that you were satisfied with the care your other horses are receiving, and so on. At least having it documented that you no longer wanted them in care of your other horses might be a good call. Surely the insurance company wouldn't want more of their assets being euthanized." OP says, "I am moving the horses at my earliest convenience. I am, however, not eager to discuss the situation with the stable owners. It also takes time to make new boarding arrangements for 3 horses and their associated tack. I'm not concerned about the cost at the moment, only my horses' welfare. I'm likely going to be taking care of them myself for a while. I've been out of town for work, my daughter doesn't live at home anymore, and my wife's not familiar with caring for horses. I will need to work from home for a while. I don't mind, but the clients sometimes do." Double Trouble Trek says, "Move the horses to another facility immediately and call the police. We have Arabian and half Arabian show horses and have ran boarding stables all my life. I would contact the Morgan Horse Registry to see if there's anyone who can help. We have a Horseman's Relief Fund that helps people with emergency situations from time to time. I would reach out to them. Certainly let police see the autopsy report and let them know that no one was authorized to put the horse down and that you were told the horse had suddenly died. I'm not sure how the insurance would work in this situation, but I'm very sorry for your loss. What a terrible situation. Have you reached out to your local Humane Society and Animal Welfare Agency? Here in Australia, this is the kind of thing the RSPCA would potentially investigate if there was mistreatment of an animal. Animal Welfare is investigating. Why the farm didn't call them directly, I don't know, but my insurance company informed them. You should press for asking your insurance about that. Animal welfare is certainly not going to want to be the last to know about information involving situations like this, especially when there's multiple other horses being boarded in the facility. Making sure there's an itemized list of the possessions you're 100% sure you had there is a good idea as well, in the case that theft may be part of the situation. Update. I have retained a lawyer referred to me by my business lawyer. He will be my point of contact for the insurance company and the stables. He is reaching out to the stables to inform them I will be removing my horses for their safety pending the ongoing investigation. My horses will be going home this evening. Some of my daughter's friends have stepped up and offered to take care of our horses until we can get them boarded. They are reliable and even offered to transport the horses. The lawyer says it is likely my insurance won't pay for the loss of the horse. We will need to file suit against the Equestrian Center. He read the preliminary report from the insurance company and the toxicology report. I misunderstood the terminology when they first told me the results. I was truly upset about the horse, so I'm not surprised I misunderstood. It appears the horse died from ingesting tranquilizers and other medication. It is possible it was accidental, but also possible it was malicious. The Equestrian Center has a capacity of over 50 horses, so they have an on-site vet and they do stock drugs. We don't know if their stock is the source, but it's likely. Update 2. A suspect has been identified. Not certain of the motivation, but it's clear the person intentionally killed my daughter's horse. The suspect was not associated with the stables, and the police are currently searching for the individual. Thanks for everyone who's been supportive. This is a nightmare. And that was posted 2 weeks ago. If there is an update, I will be sure to revisit this one and fill you guys in. Posted by user Right Now Throwaway, titled, My mother is claiming she has a legal right to talk to me. I'm an adult, 23. I'm not living with her. Last Sunday, I decided to cut contact with my mother. I have blocked her number. This is due to the unhealthy relationship we have. She has access to my husband's number, whom I know she trusts, and doesn't believe there's abuse because there isn't. My in-laws and my grandfather, who I informed that I was going to be cutting contact with her. Today, she came banging on my door and ringing the doorbell unannounced. I refused to answer because I'm dealing with enough problems/trauma as it is from this. My husband doesn't have her number blocked. He sent her a text telling her we're not talking right now. She left a note on my car claiming that she has a legal right to see me and hear my voice, and if not, in 24 hours she will call the police. Is that true? The police will most likely laugh and tell her there's nothing they can do. She has no legal right to have access to you for any reason, as you're an adult. Not a lawyer. In US, if you're not, this may be a different process in your area. If you don't plan on re-engaging in contact with her for the foreseeable future, and she doesn't let up in trying to see and talk to you, you can file for a restraining order. The process will vary depending on where you are, and unfortunately, so will enforcement of violations. So the best course of action will be to check with your local courts, as that's where they are usually filed. They'll have the forms and instructions on how to apply for one. Thank you. Depending on what she tells the police, she may be able to initiate a well-being check, i.e., if she told them she hadn't heard from you and was concerned, you might be seriously sick, unwell, etc. in your house. The cops might then show up to make sure that you're not dead or something. Just tell them you're fine and they should go away. Obviously doesn't have anything illegal in view if the front door/windows or anything like that though. That would end in not a great way. She showed up at my in-laws' house and has sent them numerous texts. We're documenting everything. This is insane. It's literally only been 1 week. You might want to do a preemptive strike and inform your local police on what's happening. This can save a lot of hassle in the long run. Go to the station and speak with the watch commander, tell them what's happening, and show them the texts and notes. Start laying the groundwork in case this escalates. It's better to be out in the front of these situations. Should I do that even if she's acknowledged in the texts she sent my husband/in-laws that I've blocked her number and am not interested in continuing a relationship? This isn't the first time the police have dealt with this. If you show up, explain the situation, and are polite and respectful, it gives you a huge leg up. So the very first time your mum calls, the police already know the story. They'll likely still have to knock on your door, but they're significantly more likely to be polite and respectful because you did them that same courtesy. On top of this, if it escalates, it will help in the future. Should you need to take further action to protect yourself, you'll have a recording of you doing nothing but ignoring contact. She has no right to access another adult like you. Take care of yourself, Don't respond to her, write down any attempted interactions, and call police if she attempts to enter your home or touch you. She could only access you if her attorney roped you into a lawsuit as a defendant or witness, because you must respond to a valid subpoena. That being said, she doesn't appear to have any valid cause of action. There won't be a lawsuit. Edit. Grandparents' so-called rights are not nearly as strong as most people think. I wouldn't worry unless you were starving or beating your daughter or something absurd. Thank you. My daughter is well taken care of. My husband and I had her young, and I had some severe mental health issues after I gave birth. Brought up a lot of trauma/added to it, but I always ensured she was cared for. I was a danger to myself. So my in-laws have her most of the time, and I would say it's similar to a shared guardianship/open adoption type situation. We're getting together Wednesday to discuss legal matters and what we can do. I just want to make sure there's plenty of documentation. I just feel incredibly stupid trying to maintain a relationship with her after I left home. I'm calling my therapist tomorrow as well to see if she can provide any documentation for how damaging it was growing up in my mother's care. I also want to say, my mother isn't aware of the agreement we have between myself and my husband and his parents regarding my daughter's care. All she knows is that they help. Update. So as stated in the comments, she showed up to my in-laws' house and sent them/my husband texts. My father-in-law forwarded the texts to me and is saving them for documentation. In it, she acknowledged that I have blocked her/simply am not talking to her, so I don't think the police will be showing up for any welfare checks. Thank you for all your help. Update 2/second question. How would I go about getting records of previous restraining orders when they were filed but I was a minor? It was filed by my mother on my behalf. I would like to obtain it for record's sake. Edit. They were filed against her abusive husband while I was a minor. I want record of this because she filed several and broke them repeatedly before divorcing him. It put myself and another minor in her care in danger. I want this for record's sake because she's threatening grandparents' rights over my daughter. Edit 2. If I need to make a separate post for this, I can. Update 3. Police have been notified. I have the domestic violence shelter I had to do therapy at as a kid, looking for my records. I'm waiting for a callback from my current therapist and going down to the courthouse to look for the record of restraining orders. Thank you so much for your help and advice. Posted by user Foxy C Fox 36, titled, My neighbor wants to have access to my addition roof. I live in a duplex in Virginia. The duplex next door to me sold a month back or so. I went next door, respectfully with a mask, and introduced myself to them and gave them a contact sheet with me and my husband's information. I knew that they were going to be doing some construction, and since we are both working from home, I wanted to coordinate with the new owners for certain things. I asked about timelines and such, but they were unwilling to give me any information. 3 days later, while my husband and I were in mid-conference call mode, they began demolition. No notice, nothing. I spoke to the crew and asked about what was going on and was given no information. The owners still did not reach out to me. The next day, I saw the owner and asked if he was able to provide me with some form of schedule so that my husband and I could schedule our priority calls in accordance. Not asking for any accommodations, just a heads up on when is lunch or whenever we can squeeze in some quiet time to get our more important meetings handled. I was met with open hostility and the statement that he could not and would not provide anything of the sort. They posted their permits, but redacted all work to be done. I reached out to the city to find that his permit was for a minor renovations of $10,000, and he was doing a full gut. I called the city, they did nothing. Their permit states they cannot work on holidays, and they were doing construction on Memorial Day at like 7 a.m. I write all this to say, not once has this family shown an ounce of consideration towards us. It now turns out they are also building a 2-story addition, which already irritates me, because it is going to change our view, and we had no idea this was coming. They still have not contacted us, but have sent over their contractors to tell us they would be accessing our addition roof to work on the siding for theirs. Not ask, tell me. I informed the contractor that they did not have permission to use my roof or property and that I needed to speak with the owner before such a thing were to occur. I informed him that they had my information and should contact me tonight. He said he would do so, but that they would be on my property tomorrow to meet their deadline. What can I do? I'm not a lawyer, but my first concern would be that the unpermitted construction work could damage, weaken, or devalue your connected property. It's possible that the work could cause the entire structure, your home included, to be condemned. Then there's the liability risk of having workers on your property. I would get in touch with a real estate attorney immediately. Others here probably have better advice. Perhaps it is possible to stop the work via the courts rather than the city's permits authority. Sounds like the addition would not be on the permit either. You could reach back out to the city about that too. You don't have to let them on your property. If they try and force themselves on, call the police. Might be worth getting in touch with local politicians to make sure the permit issued is on the up and up as well. Yes, this strikes me as call the mayor's office territory. Renovations under $10,000 wouldn't come close to covering a gut. So the work is almost certainly unpermitted, which presents a hazard to the homeowner and, in case of the fire, the neighbors. If the mayor's office balks, call your state representatives and state senators' constituent service lines. Call the city inspector's office again, ask if a permit was pulled for an addition, and then, while they are on the line, email them a photo from your phone of the addition being constructed. As soon as that happens, you should call the police, not a lawyer. Not a lawyer. For the trespassing issue, I'd be out there waiting for them, and if they try to access your roof, tell them that they do not have your permission, and if they attempt to continue, you will call the police. Reach out to your city or county again. You're probably getting stonewalled because everyone's so busy with COVID responses, but you're going to want to keep this documented. Update 1, since they deleted it when I tried to make a new post. Thank you so very much for all the support and guidance on this. A thing I forgot to mention about this particular neighbor is that the owner is also the owner of a construction business that specializes in flipping and reselling homes in the area. The workers doing the work are his. The home across the street was done by him as well. He typically says he will live in it, or a family member will live in it, and once completed says they change their mind and sells. My husband called them back and discussed our concerns, and the gentleman was flippant at best. Not to mention the first time he called, they said it was the wrong number and refused to speak with him because they normally talk with me. I had to text them and tell them to speak with my husband. They know he's my husband. I gave them both our contact information. This whole thing is just getting more and more bizarre. He continued to tell us it was in all our best interests if we just allowed it to finish as quickly as possible. My husband asked them for plans and confirmation of license and bonding and all sorts of other details, to which he was met with, of course, I'll get that to you later, but we need to be on your property tomorrow. He also stated that he did not need to access our roof, that they only needed to access the 1-foot gap between our additions. That gave me a slight peace of mind, but also raised a slew of other questions. So with that out of the way, the course of action I have determined is to tell them that currently they are not allowed on my property at the advice of my counsel, which I don't have yet, but am working on. I have an appointment tomorrow afternoon for a consult, and am wondering what questions I need to ask. Any insight on that would be helpful. I did get a hold of the city last night, and they assured me that they would send someone out as soon as possible from the coding department to inspect. Much like everyone here, they continued to tell me that I do not have to let them on my property. This morning, I called the code inspector manager, and he informed me the permit details were all included on the description, 2nd-story pop-up, new kitchen, full remodel, but that it seemed odd the construction cost was listed at $10,000. I informed him of the situation, and he told me this was a very common situation, and that he would notify the permit area to investigate the permit issue, as that was not in his wheelhouse, and he would come out today to inspect and see what was going on. He advised me to get insurance details and such in writing, but in the end, I may want to consider giving them permission to make the work more in compliance. Meaning, if they had to do stuff like hang off the roof to hang siding, the work would be shoddy and not look good, and I have to look at it. Not sure how I felt about that, but oh well. I spent most of last night hating myself for being a Karen and going back and forth on whether or not I should be standing my ground and two wrongs, etc. Am I making a big deal out of nothing? But who gives 1 day's notice on something like this? Currently, the contractors are hanging off their addition roof by one hand and nailing the plywood with the other. I'm terrified they're going to hurt themselves. This is not helping my guilt complex. Anyway, that is my current update, and since I have so many responses, I will continue to post updates until this is resolved, hopefully amicably. Again, thank you all for your support. This is my first home, and I have never had to navigate something like this. No further updates. That was posted 12 days ago. If there is more, I will post it. Posted by user twin_bed, titled, New Jersey landlord's husband asking me for rent. My friend and I are 8 months into a year-long lease, and today I received a phone call from my landlord's husband telling me to send the checks to a new place, rather than physically hand over the check to the landlord as I've been doing for months. The only other party on the lease besides my friend and me is my landlord, the wife, and the husband's name is nowhere to be found. I think they are having marital issues, but I don't want my housing to be impacted by it. I have brought this up with my landlord, and they've told me to continue payments to them, but I feel like I'm in the middle of a dispute and am worried about the husband seeking retaliation. I've looked up property records, and the husband is the only name on the mortgage. Any advice at all would be appreciated. Do not do this. Pay only based on your written lease unless you get a signed court order saying otherwise. Thank you. I will continue to make payments to our landlady until we get a legal notice. I'm kind of worried that the husband will continue to contact me or escalate, but I can seek other remedies for that. If he escalates, tell him not to contact you and block him if necessary. Their issues are not your issues. Continue to pay as your lease says unless you get a court papers saying otherwise, or if your landlord gives you written instructions otherwise. Even if you get written instructions, verify it with her in person. Also, start keeping your rent receipts in a safe place and keep copies of them somewhere else, such as at work or on a Google Drive. Edit. Update. Lease says to pay the landlady directly. We've been paying by check/Zelle. We talked with her, and she confirmed that they are having issues, and she will contact her lawyer about him making contact. We will continue to make payments to her directly, and she will give us receipts every time. She was kind of off and on about it. Thank you everyone for your comments and help. We're still kind of worried about the husband, but we'll take things as they come. Thanks again, from both me and my roomie. Posted by user Kajori22, titled, The city literally came and took our street away. So, there was a table-sized pothole blocking one side of our street. It's been there since May. It was really inconvenient because you couldn't enter the street from that side. The city let it sit there for 6 months, all summer and fall. We got letters mid-November that the city would be shutting the road down to repave it, and it would be closed for a week. We would all have to park our cars on a neighboring street and walk to our houses. Fine. So the time comes. They rip the street up. They spend 4 to 5 days moving dirt around, and then we don't see them again. 3 55-degree days pass with no workers in sight. Then there's a snowstorm. This should have been foreseen. It's extremely snowy where we live during the time of the year, and again, they let the entire summer and fall go by without making any attempts to fix the pothole. That snow was almost 3 weeks ago, and it's been nice weather since. We are on almost 4 weeks of having a 2-foot drop in front of our house onto a bumpy dirt mess. We can't get into our driveway at all. We have to carry groceries from our car down the street. There's elderly people that live on this block that can't really get out of their houses at all because the walk to their car is too much. Not to mention, what if one of these houses caught fire, or if someone had a heart attack? There's literally no way an ambulance or fire truck could get in here. What can we do? The city is ghosting us. We have no idea what's going on or why they've stopped working. This is a really nice neighborhood, and we pay a lot to live here. We should be able to access the driveways we are paying for, and we should certainly have a street in front of our house that we pay taxes on. Something went terribly wrong, because it would be absolutely insane to do a full street repave in a climate where it snows during the winter. It is probably too late now. You should be pushing for them to make the street drivable again. they will have to pave in the springtime. If they won't answer your phone, go down to the city hall in person and talk to the public works. Place your bets. The city got scammed by a shady contractor, and somebody has to be fired for it. Behind closed doors, it's a virtual Thunderdome. Apart from going to the city hall in person, one thing you can do is submit a public records request to see what is going on. You didn't mention your location, but PRRs are simple and usually entail writing a letter along the lines of, "Pursuant to your state's public records statutes, I'm requesting all documentation pertaining to the road repair and construction on your street beginning around a week before they started construction or the day they started construction, to the date of your letter, your contact information." It might cost you a couple of bucks for paper copies and postage, or your state PRR law may let them fulfill your request electronically through email for free, or a lot less than paper copies. If that's the case, you would need to add that you are requesting the records electronically to the letter. There are timelines that they will have to follow, so while it might not be much to solve the problem, they won't be able to just ghost you and explain nothing. Again, all of this is going to depend on your specific state. Contact your congressman if your city isn't acting. Okay, I'm definitely going to do that. I'll go above their heads. Thank you. Best of luck. It won't be a fast turnaround, but it's often quite effective. State legislators is actually going over their heads. Get them involved too, especially since part of the city's budget almost certainly comes from the state. Update. Got the mayor to finally email me back. Finally. It was a very rambling, very weird email. Bad punctuation and some weird formatting. So first she blamed it on the snow. They were waiting for it to melt and then dry, although if they would have taken a bit more time to remove the snow, I'm sure it would have dried a lot faster. I said nope, it hasn't snowed in almost 3 weeks now, and nothing has been done. Now she says supposedly the clay is too saturated, which is weird because from what I can see, it's dry. Granted, I'm no expert, but it's literally not wet at all. So then I questioned why they decided to do this now, and not over the summer when it was warm. She said, yes, we do wish we had done things differently looking back now. I'm just thinking this laundry list of excuses is so bizarre. Oh, and the best excuse? That's when the snow came. We all shoveled the snow off our driveways into the streets, so I guess it's actually our fault. I laughed pretty hard at that one. I also questioned the fact that no emergency vehicles can access us. She told me not to worry, that she is in contact with emergency departments and they have a plan in place in case something happens. I told her that we would love to hear that plan, as my husband is a cop and is seriously doubtful that they could put out a house fire if it happened. And we just had a shooting in this same neighborhood in which a cop was shot. My husband said that if he had been on this street, he would have bled out and died. She has not responded to that. Also to add, I'm not sure if it makes any difference, but this is a decently small town. We are a small offshoot of a major metropolitan city in the US, so not a little country town, but definitely not a big city at all. And that's the response we get, I guess. That's the update. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Say hi to outro Markee. Alright guys, that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this one today. Tell me what you thought of it down in the comments below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I would love you to subscribe because I love your face and I love seeing you here every single day that you are here in this video. I don't know what else to say today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the content. I do have a second channel that's called Markee 2. Link should be up on the screen somewhere here if you don't have adblock installed. If you don't know where to find the channel, you can go to my main page. Just click on the Markee face and it should be on the right somewhere there, or on channels if you're on phone. Hope you guys have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.